two-wing jetpack flyers flew around the world's largest passenger aircraft.
This is Jetpack Aviation's JB-11. It's got 6 mini turbojet engines, real ones that burn actual jet fuel. These jetpacks? They are real. They exist right now. Actual military units have been testing these out. I'm talking the US, UK, India, Netherlands. They're all curious. And get this, there are literal jetsuit races in Dubai. Races like NASCAR, but instead of dents and scratched paint, you risk becoming the human version of a bug stuck to a windshield. No big deal. However, and this is a big however, like honey, I blew up the kid big, if these fire-breathing backpacks are real, if they've gone from a childhood fantasy to actual flyable tech, then my question, and I'm guessing yours too if you're watching this, is where the hell is my jetpack?
Where's the beef?
Can I get a jetpack?
No.
As early as the 1950s, we collectively signed up in our heads for this dream where we'd all be flying to work. From comic books to movies to real-life appearances in worldwide events, everyone thought the future of personal flight had arrived. So why in the age of dancing AI robots that can make your favourite cocktail, were you still stuck in traffic this morning? Why 6 decades later, can't these things fly for more than 10 minutes, cost as much as a house, and are too dangerous for anyone but trained professionals? Well, to find out why your late-night DoorDash order isn't being delivered by a guy with a rocket on his back, we need to take a closer look. And that starts, as all good stories do, with the first guy crazy enough to strap one on. And that crazy guy? His name was Wendell F. Moore. He worked at Bell Aerosystems in the 1950s. He had a dream, bold at the time, of strapping on a pack and leaping into the sky.
You're crazy, man.
Sure, it's a deep primal human urge. We see it in myths like Icarus. It stretches back long before engines. But one person first dragged that dream, kicking and screaming into the engineering room. See, Moore already dealt with cutting-edge tech. He was working on rocket planes that broke the sound barrier. But he had this other idea, maybe from pulp science fiction stories, maybe just a sheer challenge, a personal flying belt. He pitched it to Bell. He likely framed it with military potential. Imagine soldiers leaping over rivers or minefields. Bell knew that the US Army was looking for ways to improve mobility. They were putting out feelers for a small rocket lift device. And Moore's concept, that fit the bill for Bell. By 1960, Bell had a small government contract for the experiment, and Moore was building his dream machine. It wasn't technically a jetpack, though. It was a rocket belt. The core tech used hydrogen peroxide cylinders. It was highly concentrated, 90% pure stuff. A fancy chemical reaction with nitrogen created blasts of superheated steam and oxygen. Maybe you can already see a shortcoming here. It roared out of 2 nozzles at 740 degrees Celsius. Simple, brutal, reactive force. No fancy aerodynamics needed. This thing flew like a very powerful brick. Controls involved levers under the pilot's arms. On the right hand was a throttle, up and down. The left hand tilted the engine assembly for direction. Twisting the handles acted like a joystick. Sounds simple?
Not really.
Imagine balancing stilts made from fire hoses. After months of tethered tests inside hangars, Moore himself suffered a serious knee injury then. Another engineer, Harold Hal Graham, took to the controls. On April 20th, 1961, near the Bell factory, Graham did it. He lifted off, untethered, for the first time. The flight lasted maybe 13 seconds. He covered about 112 feet. He never got more than a few feet off the ground. But it worked. Man had flown solo with a machine on his back. Suddenly the fantasy was real.
He can fly! He can fly!
Yeah, I can fly.
And Graham, he couldn't get enough. He demonstrated the rocket belt everywhere. For military brass in the Pentagon courtyard, for President Kennedy. The footage was astounding. Then came Bill Suter, a young guy trained to prove an average Joe could fly it. He became the face of the rocket belt, performing in over 1,000 flights across 35 years. In fact, Suter was Sean Connery's stunt double for Thunderball.
Oh, rough, just the way your mother likes it, Trebek.
And that scene cemented the jetpack in public consciousness. He even soared into the LA Coliseum for the '84 Olympics. For a moment, it felt as if the Jetson age had truly dawned, but that feeling wouldn't last long. Reality, as usual, had some fine print attached.
Interruptions are why we don't have jetpacks, Max. Jetpacks!
The jump from a 13-second hop wasn't easy. It wasn't just a step to a practical flying machine. It was more like a giant physics-shaped chasm. The rocket belt excitement quickly hit hard limits. The biggest, most unavoidable limit, flight time. That record 21 seconds wasn't a glitch. It was the absolute maximum possible. Why? Hydrogen peroxide doesn't store much energy for its weight. You could only carry about 5 gallons, and the rocket belt burned through it incredibly fast. The maximum range was about 120 meters, 400 feet. Enough to cross a stage, maybe hop a small building, but completely useless for actual travel. You couldn't reach the end of a long driveway, let alone commute to work. Then there was the control issue. Bill Suter called it trying to stand on a beach ball. That wasn't an exaggeration. It took immense skill and constant adjustment. Talk about needing to do Pilates. Dozens of tethered flights were needed just to stay upright. Wendell Moore's knee injury was a stark reminder. This wasn't effortless cartoon flight. It was a demanding, risky physical feat. And it was loud. So damn loud. Estimates put noise around 130 decibels. That's louder than a jackhammer or many jets at takeoff. Any soldier using this would announce their arrival miles away. Speaking of the military, they were initially intrigued by the idea, but the reality was a letdown.
What a waste.
Beyond dismal range and deafening noise, the rocket belt needed specialized hazardous fuel. It required a support team for prep. It offered zero protection to the exposed pilot. It was a logistical headache with little payoff. The Army looked at the 21 seconds of flight. They heard the noise, saw the complexity, and concluded it was impractical for battlefield use. The funding dried up. The dream of peroxide-powered super soldiers fizzled out. It vanished almost as quickly as the fuel itself. Bell's engineers, especially Wendell Moore, saw the problem. It wasn't the concept, it was the fuel. Rocket power was too limited by weight. Carrying fuel and oxidizer, or H2O2, wasn't efficient. The answer seemed obvious. Use an air-breathing engine, like a real jet. DARPA funding arrived around 1965. Bell started the next evolution, the jet belt. Moore teamed up with turbine specialist John K. Hulbert. They collaborated with Williams Research Corporation. Williams developed a groundbreaking mini turbojet engine. It was called the WR-19, ready by 1969. This tiny marvel weighed only about 68 pounds, but it produced 430 pounds of thrust. It ran on standard kerosene or jet fuel. This was a potential game changer. On April 7, 1969, pilot Robert Corter flew it untethered. The performance leap was huge. Tested flights lasted up to 5 minutes. Engineers thought 25 minutes was possible. Speeds could potentially reach over 80 miles per hour. The design was clever too. Bypass air cooled the exhaust, protecting the pilot. Deflecting nozzles provided more sophisticated control. It seemed like they'd cracked it, but the jet belt also failed to impress the military.
What a waste.
It solved the duration problem, but created new ones. The turbine engine made the pack much heavier. Landing safely with that weight was risky, spinal injuries and all. A single turbine failing mid-flight was terrifying. Imagine turbine blades breaking apart near your body. Maintaining these mini turbines was complex. Wendell Moore's unfortunate passing in May 1969 also hurt. The project's momentum faded. The Army again lost interest. However, the jet belt project wasn't a total loss. That brilliant little WR-19 engine found a new purpose. It was perfect for cruise missiles. Woohoo! Variations powered missiles like the Tomahawk. It was powerful, compact, and efficient. The irony is stark. Tech made for human flight now powered unmanned weapons. It highlights a crucial point. The engine tech worked.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
But integrating it safely with a human pilot was too hard. Control, landing safety, vulnerability, cost, too many issues.
It's not worth it.
Sending the engine on its own mission bypassed human factors. The dream of personal jet flight hit another dead end. The engine designed for it had a long career elsewhere. After the military gave up in the 70s and 80s, the jetpack dream simmered down. It seemed destined for retro futuristic fantasy, a relic of Bond movies and space-age hope. But around the turn of the millennium, things revived. A new generation of inventors, engineers, and wealthy daredevils emerged.
We're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
They decided the dream wasn't dead yet. Advances in materials, electronics, and small turbines helped. These turbines were descendants of the original WR-19. Several companies emerged, determined to crack the code. Two names stand out today: Jetpack Aviation, JPA, and Gravity Industries. JPA, led by David Mayman, focused on turbine backpacks. Mayman worked with Nelson Tyler, designer of the '84 Olympics belt. His 2015 flight around the Statue of Liberty made headlines. He developed increasingly sophisticated jetpacks that used multiple small turbines, usually 6.
I mean, we're smart, right? We're really smart.
Multiple engines offer crucial redundancy for safety. If one engine fails, others might allow a safe landing. This led to it becoming the first FAA-approved jetpack flight. These packs also boast an impressive 8 to 10 minutes flight time, speeds potentially over 120 miles per hour, ceilings reaching thousands of feet. JPA offers versions meeting ultralight rules, which technically don't require a pilot's license, though extensive mandatory training is still needed. Then there's Gravity Industries, founded by Richard Browning. Browning took a different approach with his jet suit. It uses 5 turbines, a large one on the back and 2 smaller ones mounted on each arm. Rather than controlling primarily with joysticks, the pilot vectors thrust by moving their arms. It requires incredible strength and balance, a true human-machine partnership. Gravity uses 3D printing for lightweight parts. Their suit also offers around 8 minutes of flight. Speeds reportedly exceed 60 miles per hour. So who actually buys these expensive machines?
It's a fucking lot of money, okay? 200 grand is definitely a lot of fucking money.
JPA reportedly sold units to a Southeast Asian military. They target military and first responder markets. Gravity famously trialled suits with UK paramedics, testing rapid response to hikers in remote areas. Both companies cater to the experienced market, offering training and demo flights for a high price.
I make money.
And then there's the spectacle.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's...
Gravity Industries launched an international jet suit race series, turning human flight into an extreme sport. Pilots navigate courses over water for safety in places like Dubai. It's visually stunning, undeniably futuristic. It's worth mentioning a cautionary tale here: the Martin Jetpack. Developed over decades in New Zealand, the Martin Jetpack used ducted fans and a piston engine. It promised longer flight times, around 30 minutes. It generated huge buzz, named a time invention. But despite massive investment, over $125 million, the venture collapsed. It's a potent reminder of the immense hurdles facing this dream. So yes, modern jetpacks exist. They fly faster, longer, safer than before. They're used by elite units and daredevils, but they haven't broken through to the mainstream. And the reasons why run much deeper than just cost. So after 60 years, why no jetpacks? Why isn't personal aerial vehicle on your insurance? The dream keeps hitting reality's wall. A wall made of hard physics, stubborn engineering, big costs, real dangers, and fuzzy rules. Plus, are they even practical? Let's start with physics. Energy density. Lifting off needs enormous energy. Staying up with direct thrust is very power hungry. Jet fuel packs way more punch than batteries. That's why planes fly for hours. But turbines still only give jetpacks 5 to 10 minutes. Why not add more fuel? Fuel is heavy. More weight needs more thrust. More thrust means bigger engines or more fuel. It's a vicious cycle and the pack gets way too heavy.
It's a rocket, not a jetpack!
What about electric? Quieter, cleaner maybe, but battery tech isn't ready for this job. Not for energy stored per pound. Maybe in decades with huge breakthroughs.
So for now, thirsty fossil-fueled turbines it is.
No. We're not doing jetpacks.
Then there's the engineering. Balancing is tough. It's not like driving a car, and they're incredibly loud. Imagine dozens roaring over your city. Heat is a big issue, and the packs are heavy.
Landing with 100+ pounds on your back?
Could be risky, very risky.
Then the money. We're talking $350,000 to $500,000. Low-end Lamborghini prices for less flight time than a podcast mattress commercial. Then add fuel, maintenance, and expensive training.
It's too much! It's too much!
It's out of reach for almost everyone. Safety and rules are big hurdles too. Engine failure at low altitude? Big trouble. Parachutes need height to work. Mid-air collisions? A nightmare to avoid. The FAA is still figuring out the rules. Integrating many into airspace is a huge challenge.
And they already have enough things to figure out with a massive shortage of qualified air traffic controllers.
Finally, The biggest question, practicality. What daily problem does a jetpack solve for most people? The Jetsons made commuting look easy. Reality means finding safe takeoff and landing spots, dealing with weather, noise, cost and danger. For most trips, a car or bus is just better. Jetpacks may be great for a paramedic or special forces or a stunt show, but not for picking up groceries. So where does that leave the jetpack? Likely a futuristic footnote, for mass use anyway. The dream of zipping to work like George Jetson still seems very far off. Development continues, but the focus shifted. Jetpacks probably won't replace our cars. Their future is in specialised niches. Emergency services, niche military roles, maybe high-value logistics or entertainment. Electric power is the wild card, but still years away. Perhaps the real successor to this dream won't be a backpack at all. Maybe it's electric flying cars, which we'll cover in a future episode, so make sure you're subscribed. They might finally let us skip the gridlock. Just not with turbines or flamethrowers strapped to our backs.